Shooter games are where my reflexes get tested the most. I've played everything from fast-paced chaos to slower tactical gunfights, and each one pushes skill in a different way. After spending countless hours aiming, reacting, and learning maps, I'm ranking the shooter games that truly stood out to me. Let's dive right into it. Elite Dangerous is one of those games I have a love-hate relationship with. When it clicks, it feels incredible flying alone through deep space, hauling cargo, smuggling goods, and suddenly getting pulled out of hyperspace by a pirate makes my heart jump every time. The ship combat can be tense and satisfying, especially when I survive a fight I thought I'd lose. But most of my time is spent just flying in a straight line, staring into empty space, waiting for something to happen. I've literally kept music or a book nearby to get through the long trips. Even so, I keep coming back because the immersion is unmatched and being in the cockpit feels real. That mix of boredom and brilliance is exactly why Elite Dangerous sits in the good tier for me. It delivers unforgettable highs, but asks for a lot of patience to get there. Metro Exodus is easily my favorite Metro game and one of the most immersive shooters I've played. I love how it slows everything down and forces me to move carefully instead of running and shooting non-stop. Every bullet feels valuable. Every dark room feels dangerous, and even the open areas never let me feel safe. Traveling with the crew on the train makes the world feel personal, and stepping off into ruined cities, deserts, or forests always keeps me tense. The gunplay feels heavy, the atmosphere is incredible, and the sound design pulls me right in. Even when I'm just exploring, I feel nervous in a good way. For me, Metro Exodus fully delivers on survival, tension, and storytelling, which is why it earns a solid spot in the excellent tier. System Shock is one of those games that reminded me why immersive shooters exist in the first place. From the moment I stepped onto the space station, I felt lost in the best way. No hand-holding, no clear path, just me, my weapons, and a terrifying AI watching everything I do. I loved how exploration mattered more than pure shooting, forcing me to listen, observe, and think before every move. Combat feels tense and dangerous, enemies are smarter than I expect, and resources never feel wasted. Showdown alone makes the experience unforgettable, constantly taunting me and making the world feel hostile and alive. Even with its old-school roots, the remake feels confident and modern without losing its identity. For me, System Shock earns its place in the excellent tier because it demands attention, rewards curiosity, and delivers an experience few shooters even attempt anymore. Valorant is one of those shooters that completely pulled me in and refused to let go. I love how it blends tight, skill-based gunplay with smart abilities that add depth without replacing aim. Every round feels tense because one mistake can end everything, and landing a clean headshot is always satisfying. Learning recoil, managing money, and choosing when to use abilities made me feel like I was improving every match. Even after many hours, I still feel like there's more to master, more strategies to learn, and more precision to sharpen. That constant challenge and reward loop is why Valorant easily earns a place in my excellent tier. Titanfall 2 is one of those rare shooters that made me smile from start. The movement feels unreal. I'm wall running, sliding, double jumping, and shooting without ever slowing down, and it all feels smooth and natural. The campaign surprised me the most, especially my bond with BT, which gave real emotion to the action. Every level introduces something new, so nothing ever feels repeated or boring. Switching between fast pilot combat and heavy Titan battles keeps the pace fresh and exciting. Even today, the gunplay and mobility feel ahead of their time. For me, Titanfall 2 isn't just great, it's a masterpiece, and one of the most fun shooters I've ever played. Warhammer 40,000 Darktide is one of those shooters that feels incredible moment to moment. I love how brutal and weighty the combat is, especially in melee, where every swing, block, and shove actually matters. Charging into a horde with my team, cutting through enemies while music kicks in, is pure chaos in the best way. Each class feels useful, and when everyone plays their role, the game really shines. The problem is that the technical issues and slow progression sometimes break the flow, and performance can get rough during big fights. Even with those flaws, the core gameplay is so satisfying that I keep coming back. That's why Darktide lands in the great tier for me, amazing combat held back by a few frustrating issues. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chornobyl is one of the most punishing shooters I've played in years, and that's exactly why it stuck with me. The zone feels hostile at all times. Ammo is limited, enemies can kill me fast, and every decision matters. I love how the atmosphere pulls me in with dark nights, brutal weather, and constant tension while exploring abandoned places. Gunfights feel intense and dangerous, and surviving them always feels earned. That said, the bugs, performance drops, and strange enemy behavior do break immersion more often than I'd like. Still, when everything clicks, the experience is unmatched and deeply immersive. That balance of brilliance and frustration is why S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 lands in the great tier for me. Borderlands 4 feels like the series finally trying something bold again, and I mostly enjoyed my time with it. I love how smooth the gunplay and movement feel now, and the open world makes exploring and fighting enemies feel more natural than before. The weapons are still wild and creative, and blasting through enemies with friends is as fun as ever. That said, the open world isn't always as open as it looks, with invisible walls and awkward terrain breaking immersion, and the bugs and performance issues can get annoying. The story is better than Borderlands 3, but it doesn't quite reach the highs of the best in the series. Overall, it's a fun step forward with clear problems holding it back, which is why Borderlands 4 lands in the good tier for me. Halo: The Master Chief Collection feels like the redemption story Halo deserved. Playing it now, everything just works the way it should have from the start. I can jump between classic campaigns, co-op, firefight, and multiplayer without any hassle, and it all runs smooth and stable. Reliving these games reminded me how strong Halo's gunplay, level design, and pacing really are, even years later. The upgrades make everything feel modern without losing the original feel, and multiplayer finally lets me play exactly the modes I want. It's rare to see a collection this complete and this polished after such a rough start. That's why, for me, Halo: The Master Chief Collection earns a clear spot in the excellent tier. Doom Eternal is the kind of shooter that makes me feel unstoppable while still pushing me to play better every second. The movement is insanely fast, the combat is brutal, and every fight feels like a controlled explosion where I have to think, aim, and move constantly. I love how it forces me to juggle weapons, abilities, and positioning without ever slowing down. When everything clicks, it feels like pure flow, aggressive, precise, and endlessly satisfying. Even after hours of play, the intensity never drops and the challenge never feels cheap. Doom Eternal doesn't just improve on Doom 2016, it completely redefines it, which is why this one stands firmly in the masterpiece tier for me. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is a mixed experience for me, but one I still enjoy overall. The campaign didn't really land the way I hoped. It leans too much into slow stealth and spy stuff, and I really miss the big, memorable war moments Call of Duty used to deliver. There are a few cool set pieces, but they feel rare and quickly over. Where the game truly shines is multiplayer, which feels fast, smooth, and incredibly fun thanks to the new movement system. Sliding, diving, and gunfights feel weighty and satisfying, and matches stay exciting even after long sessions. Because of that strong gameplay carrying a weak campaign, Black Ops 6 ends up in the good tier for me, fun to play, but not one I'll remember for its story. Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus is one of those shooters where the story and action hit just as hard as each other. I really enjoyed how it mixes fast, violent gunfights with surprisingly strong characters and emotional moments. Blasting through enemies feels brutal and satisfying, whether I'm dual-wielding guns or trying to thin the room with stealth first. The villain is genuinely memorable, and the writing gives real weight to what could have been mindless chaos. That said, movement can feel a bit clunky at times, and a few design choices held it back from being perfect for me. Even so, the combat, tone, and storytelling work together extremely well. That's why Wolfenstein II lands in the great tier for me, powerful, intense, and hard to forget. Superhot completely changed how I think about shooters. The moment I realized that time only moves when I move, every fight turned into a puzzle instead of a reflex test. I loved standing still, watching bullets hang in the air, and planning my next step like a chess move. Every level feels tense, smart, and incredibly satisfying when it all comes together. Dying never feels unfair because I can always see what mistake I made. Even though it's short and doesn't evolve much, the core idea is so strong that it never stopped being fun. That unique, thoughtful twist on shooting is why Superhot earns a place in the excellent tier for me. Battlefield 6 feels like Battlefield getting its core strengths right again. I love how every match has layers to it, infantry fights on the ground, tanks tearing through buildings, and jets dominating the sky all at the same time. The gunplay feels solid and satisfying, and destruction actually changes how battles play out instead of just looking cool. Playing as different classes gives me useful ways to help the team, whether I'm pushing objectives, reviving teammates, or dealing with vehicles. That said, progression is a bit slow early on, and some maps turn into sniper-heavy messes that hurt the flow. Still, when everything clicks, the chaos feels incredible. Because of that strong moment-to-moment gameplay with a few frustrations holding it back, Battlefield 6 sits in the good tier for me. Hunt Showdown is one of the most stressful and rewarding shooters I've ever played. From the first match, I felt like survival mattered more than kills, and every sound I made felt dangerous. I love how slow weapons, limited ammo, and deadly monsters force me to think before every move. Gunfights are tense because one mistake can end everything, and escaping with the bounty feels better than winning a normal match. The atmosphere is heavy, quiet, and terrifying in the best way. While the small number of maps and weapons does start to feel repetitive over time, the core experience is so intense and unique that it keeps pulling me back. That's why Hunt Showdown easily earns an excellent tier spot for me. Counter-Strike 2 feels like the purest form of a shooter refined rather than reinvented. Every round reminds me why Counter-Strike has lasted for decades. Simple rules, brutal consequences, and skill above everything else. Gunfights are tense, positioning matters, and one mistake can cost the entire round. I love how the gameplay barely changes yet still feels fresh, especially with smarter smoke grenades adding new tactical depth. There's no spectacle or power fantasy here, just raw aim, teamwork, and decision-making under pressure. It's not trying to impress with gimmicks, and that confidence is its greatest strength. That timeless, razor-sharp design is exactly why Counter-Strike 2 earns its place in the masterpiece tier for me. Escape from Tarkov is one of the most brutal and demanding shooters I've ever stuck with, and somehow I still keep coming back. The game explains almost nothing, punishes every mistake, and makes even simple survival feel like an achievement. I love how tense every raid is, where a single sound or wrong move can end everything I've worked for. Gunfights feel incredibly real, and extracting with good loot gives a rush that few shooters can match. At the same time, the bugs, performance issues, cheaters, and messy UI constantly test my patience. It's frustrating, unfair, and exhausting, but when it works, nothing else feels quite like it. That mix of pain and payoff is why Escape from Tarkov earns an excellent tier spot for me.